souls, transforming worlds to a better wonder to behold. No poverty, zero hunger for the elderly or younger. Good health and well-being, good education, empowering women to become sensation. Clean water, sanitation is a right of every nation. Economic growth inclusive and sustained through industry, innovation, and purely dedication. Yeah, infrastructure be gained. Reduce inequality for sure. Make human settlements secure. Take urgent actions to combat climate change. Conserve life below water and land. Ensure we do not estrange. Justice for all, a peaceful and empathetic nations. Let us all partner to achieve these goals and provide much needed salvation. Each one teach 10, no compensation. Each one teach 10, no compensation.
Good morning, good evening, namaste, hola, bonjour, kirimate, terve, and marapan. This is Namya Joshi, your host for the day. Welcome to episode 112 of the podcast Each One Teach 10, an amazing world of STEM, an inspiring venture where we'll be discussing that STEM is a part of every day for every kid. We all will learn together how to build a STEM culture. Well, today's episode is a deep dive into the visionary leadership and transformative education. I'm incredibly honored to welcome a true change maker, an educator with over 3 decades of impact, a national awardee, and a UNESCO and UNODC collaborator who's shaping the future with purpose and passion. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ashok Pandey, the dynamic principal and director of Ahlcon International School, a global thought leader on SDGs, peace building, and ethical leadership. From being featured in an IIM Ahmedabad case study to championing global citizenship education, his story is filled with lessons for every student, educator, and leader. Well, it's an absolute honor to have you here, sir, today. So, how are you doing today?
Thank you, Namia, for remembering me, and it's been so nice knowing you for such a long time, and the kind of work that you did as a young child. You continue to pursue that, and that shows what a student leadership can shape into. You are a true embodiment of that. In education, we talk of something called student agency, and I think you are a living example of that. And when I say meeting you after a long time, let me bring in a little bit of fun into it. You knew me as principal and director of Ahlcon International School, but since we are meeting after such a long time, I have moved on, and and I'm into a lot of advising capacities, working with my passion, as you know, as to how to make SDG part of every curriculum, SDG part of every child and parent and teacher's life. And I'm enjoying it. I'm seeing this as a good move. The results are coming forth. You know it. And I would like to share it here with your audience, Namia, that schools are doing a quiet revolution as far as pursuing SDGs are concerned. They have not done it for any name or fame, but I'm sure the kind of awareness that they have created, the kind of education for sustainability that they have brought, has resulted into something great. The recent UNESCO SDG index has put India at the 99th place, first time in the first 100. So you can understand the kind of work has happened, and being a little selfish in the education sector, I'm going to give a lot of credit for that to students like you, to schools like yours and others, and to the teachers and parents.
Absolutely. And I feel if we all work together hand in hand, I can envision that someday India will be top in the top 10, and that is not
Absolutely,
so far away.
absolutely, absolutely.
True that, sir. All right. So, like you said, your leadership at Ahlcon International School led to national recognition and a case study at the IIMA. What leadership principles guided you during the first transformation, and how can other school leaders adopt them in their context?
Oh, very simple. It is not lifted from a very prestigious leadership book. Some very simple things. First is, what is your vision and what is your purpose? Whatever I did, Namia, I always asked a question: how it is going to benefit my students? Who are the beneficiaries of this? So why I'm doing it, and how will I do it, and what are the core values I will adhere to without negotiating anything. So that was the first thing. The second thing, of course, is people first. So even as a principal or as a director, then I always found myself as part of the team, you know and I always thought that the wisdom actually lies in their collective strength, and the hope lies in the collective efficacy. So this approach made people very comfortable. This approach made people come forward with their ideas and suggestions. These things made people confident that making mistake is not a great sin. So these are the things which help me. And as a leader, I found that I'm depending a lot on my team, and I'm also getting a lot delivered by my team, right? So I would put this as a second one. And the third one for me, which is very close to me, is that right from the beginning I thought that I had to be adaptive, I had to be resilient, and I had to show that I'm vulnerable, and I have to show that I have to learn, I have to unlearn, and I have to constantly keep myself updated. And that was a great example for my team. So if you ask me, two or three principles: first is the vision, the second is the people first, and third one is this adaptive resilience. And I think these three have been my strengths.
Absolutely. So, like you said, like during the transformation of the school leadership was not just rooted in a strong sense of vision and purpose, and it
Yeah,
was also consistently guided by the fundamental question, like who the beneficiaries are, why the work matters, and how it should be driven by the core values. And I really
absolutely.
appreciate and admire your people first approach. And of course, it is making the team an incredible your incredible part of the system, believing deeply in their power of collective strength and of course shared wisdom. And like you said, you foster an environment where making mistakes is okay, because that's how we learn, and it creates a continuous ripple reaction of learning and sharing, which of course enables a culture, like you said, of collective efficacy. So of course one should always keep on learning and always be committed to be
Yes,
adaptive, resilient, and that I feel, like you said, are the qualities essential for any person and specifically for a school leader navigating change.
absolutely. Brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. So,
Yeah.
you've actively promoted the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and global citizenship education. According to you, how can schools practically embed SDGs into their daily curriculum without, overwhelming the students or the teachers?
Yeah, absolutely. This question is something which is, I have been deliberating for a very long time. Though this integration of this, we particularly in our school, then we did it very early. By 2016, we were ready with the integration and things like that. But the two principles which guided my effort of embedding it, and as you said, without overwhelming the teachers, that is something very important. So what overwhelms anybody is if something is additional, is something is an add-on, is something is in addition to what you are already doing, and you do not find a relevance of that in the overall context of your activities. So I try to find an answer to this in two ways. Number one is external thinking. The external thinking is that whatever we are doing unconsciously, can we bring in a conscious SDG into it, right? So, say for example, we teach water cycle, but can we bring goal number 6 in it, right? We do in sciences balanced diet and nutrition. Can we bring goal number 4 into it, right? We talk of poverty and hunger, and we say that people do not have enough employment and things like that. So all the goals, they revolve around it. So it is not an add-on. It is a conscious identification. So this is one strategy that we had it. And the second strategy that we deployed was that let us not take SDGs as something which is new. Let us take strategies as a layered extension of our entire value system. Which means what? What are our value system? We talk of sharing, we talk of caring, we talk of respect, we talk of gratitude, we talk of collaboration, we talk of teamwork, we talk of innovation. If these are the values, start looking for these values in each of these goals, right? It means these SDGs are an extension of our value system. And in the given format, it has a name, it has a color, and it has an icon, it has a pattern. So start seeing that pattern. So let's say, for example, that we have a bowl of soup, and then there is a color associated with that. That should give us an idea that everybody should have a 2 square meal, right? And nobody should go to the bed hungry stomach. So I think these two strategies, the external and this internally embedded, they were very, very effective, and they made this process of deployment very easy. And of course, the whole idea is that all of us, I have done a lot of exercises with a vast majority of people at different places across the country, even abroad. And I asked them that if you were to born again, and if you had a choice, what kind of environment, place, geography, gender, family you would like to be born in. And everybody would say that I would like to be born in a safe environment. I would like to be born in a prosperous environment. I would like to be born in where the clean air is available, where people love each other, there is peace around, there is good opportunity for education and growth. So if this is the hidden desire of the people, this is what the sustainable developmental goals are.
Yeah, I feel you really put that amazingly. I can actually relate that to imagery in a way, like you said,
Yes.
to embed the UNSDG goals meaningfully into the school curriculum without overwhelming the students or the teachers. You always emphasize like the two guiding principles. First, to avoid treating them as an add-on, to feel like, okay, what do we do about it? Instead, you're using external thinking to consciously integrate them into existing lessons. For example, you rightly mentioned connecting discussions on balanced diet, good health, and well being, SDG 3. And of course, secondly, viewing SDGs as a natural extension of the school's core values. So you're aligning the SDGs with the school's ethos, and I really like you mentioned about their name, the colors and icons and patterns. So the schools can seemingly, infuse them with global citizenship into everyday learning experiences. So that's very rightly said by you. Thank you, sir. Absolutely. So you've contributed a position paper to UNESCO and worked with the UNODC on the hashtag Rise Up for Peace campaign. How do you see the role of education in building peace and ethical leadership among young people?
Oh, yes. I think schools are the best places to develop peace. Schools are the only temples, I can say, where peace building comes naturally. And how it will come. You know, you have been in schools and you know that the children become natural allies. Children become naturally interested in the development of each other, right? and and children, most of the time, they are capable of sorting out their conflicts, and very little external intervention. If there is intervention required, that is also there. What I'm trying to suggest here is that the schools are the laboratories where you experiment how to enter into a dialogue, how to how do you convince others, how do you develop the capability to listen to the viewpoint of others, either through your normal exercise of conversation or through platforms like MUN or other activities that you have. And therefore I think the piece, in my opinion, is uh, you know the absence of the irritants, where we are fighting over who is right. But if this converts into what is right, then both the parties involved in it become the co-owners of the problem, right? But as long as they think who is right, then there are two separate entities proving each one of them to be right and proving others to be wrong. So this is the second aspect of the whole thing. And therefore I suggest that young children who come from their families with their family values, suddenly in the school they are exposed to the social values, and then they are exposed to the environmental values, to the universal values. And therefore right from the beginning, if we teach children that how to listen to each other, how to care for each other, how to share with each other, and how to be open, how to resolve your differences in a very, very amicable way, because those are the formative years. You do not have territories to save from each other. And therefore, a very strong foundation of a peaceful coexistence can be established in the schools, and that can go a long way in the future roles that each one of these children will have. Because what have you learned in your formative years will have far more impact on you than your future experiences. At least this is what I believe in.
I cannot agree more, sir. You've actually showcased that schools are a natural ground for peace building. I never really thought of it that way until you mentioned, because you're talking about, describing them as labs where students can experiment with ideas, resolve conflicts, and of course, develop empathy. And in these spaces, students and young people learn to become allies, not adversaries. So, through open dialogue, active listening, and of course, mutually respecting each other. And when we're creating platforms like schools that encourage students to listen, care, and share, we are fostering an environment free from any external irritant, where schools can, nurture those values. For example, social responsibility, or how we have to be the future leaders and step into the future workforce. So we're able to teach them how to agree to disagree respectfully, and that is going to foster more ethical behavior and help them to become more thoughtful and compassionate leaders in a complex world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for articulating it much better than what I did.
Oh no, so I'm just putting out my points that I really agree to what you've said, and I'm sure the audience is enjoying the podcast as well. So, sir, as
Thank
a national teacher awardee and one of the Forbes India's top 100 great people managers, how do you balance empathy with accountability while managing a large team of educators?
Oh yes, I think this is a tricky one, Namia. But I have right from the beginning, been very sure about it that empathy and accountability are not in opposition to each other. This is number one. They are partners. So what does empathy mean? Empathy is that you are able to see the problems of the others, emotionally, behaviorally, cognitively. You understand it. Fair enough. But the question is, jointly you have to set the goal, and jointly you have to achieve the goal also, right? So goal setting and goal achievement is a joint property. So that is undisputable. But while that process, whenever you have the differences or you have some issues, then you have to exercise empathy to understand the viewpoint of others. You get my point? And therefore, I consciously feel that when it comes to empathy, you have to use your heart. And when it comes to accountability, you have to use your head. So, using the head and the heart is not a contradictory thing. We, as educators or leaders, I think we have to develop expertise in using head and heart, almost naturally. So that is the strategy that I have always applied. But let me tell you very frankly that I I have exercised empathy a great deal. But whenever I found that this is coming in conflict with accountability, then I gave a pause for the accountability. I allowed the empathy to go its full course, win the person, full trust of the person, and then let the person come out that, yes, having said this all, my accountability cannot be compromised. So that is the strategy which I have deployed.
Absolutely. So we can't, of course, use always both of them at the same time because the balance is the key to effectively, manage large teams and foster a culture of trust and performance, where maybe one of them has have to be given up in certain scenarios, but at the same time they have to sail together, like you beautifully framed them not as opposing forces, but as essential partners in leadership. Whereas empathy involves understanding other person's perspective. You're generally seeing their challenges and leading with your own heart. And like you rightly mentioned, accountability, on the other hand, involves setting and achieving goals with clarity and purpose. We're leading with the head. So when we're able to combine the both powers, you can create leaders who can support goal-oriented environment where team members, feel valued and they're understood while staying aligned with the objectives as well.
Absolutely. So I mean, the two instruments for this are first, of course, a very transparent and friendly conversation, which helps. And second is a very honest uh, feedback, right? So you create an environment of trust in that those transparent conversations and the honest feedback has a space that helps the situation.
Absolutely. It kind of feels like the steps of design thinking, honestly. You're creating empathy, you get into the process, you're prototyping, and then you're getting feedback. It kind of relates to that in a way, metaphorically, but yeah, kind of feels like you can do it if
Absolutely,
you're going step by step.
absolutely agreed. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Well, I'm curious to ask you that which has been the most inspirational book you've read till date?
Say again. You have to repeat it.
So I'm curious to ask you, which is the most inspirational book you have read till date?
Inspirational work that I have read.
Book or work, anything that you feel like.
Oh, yes. You see, I mean, all inspirations you get by knowing people, by reading books, by by listening to people. So in my life, let me tell you, the great inspiration first of all came from my mentors. Let me tell you that, because your behavioral think they you are inspired by what you have seen in your own life. So most of the things that I learned was from my own school headmaster, and who taught me 40 years ago without any knowledge of pedagogy and curriculum redesigning or formative and summative assessments. Not a great qualification, but he did exactly what children deserved. So the differentiation, inclusion, the diversity, all those things were very important at that time. You'll be surprised to know that we sat on the floor, and the next child was from a family of landlords, and the child sitting on my left was a child from the tillers of the land, with absolutely no means. So these were the things which sowed the seeds of this diversity and inclusion, and principles that guide it. So I think that is the first inspiration that I should not miss telling you. And then, of course, the works of Swami Vivekanand, the works of Rabindranath. Why I'm saying this is because as a teacher, when I read the first works of Swami Vivekanand, and I read that he says that you don't have to do anything with the child, there is already a perfection within, and you only have to manifest it. It changed my whole mindset. I thought as a teacher that I know everything and I have to teach my child who doesn't know anything. And now imagine from that coming to a situation where I know that no, there is a perfection within the child and I can only have the capability to manifest it. It changed the whole game for me, right? And I thought that, oh my God, why did I not know it before? And likewise, Swami Gurudev Rabindranath, he said that, look, whatever you are teaching, and if that teaching is not joyful to the students, it is useless. If there is no element of creativity in it, it is useless. And that became an inspiration to develop love for learning, to develop the element of joy, and to bring in creativity. So that was the second inspiration. And then as you grow, and as you know more things, you know John Dewey, I read him, and he said that, look, unless children experimented themselves and you expose them to full range of experiential learning, that is incomplete education. So I revised my whole teaching process according to that. But much later, another book, The Pedagogy for the Oppressed, written by a Brazilian author, and he said that we think that we are doing a lot for the children, but have we ever cared to ask them what kind of pedagogy they want? And particularly those children who are marginalized, who have no access to education, how would they like to be taught? That changed the whole world for me again. And these are the stages in which my own idea of education, my idea of teachership, my idea of leadership has been shaped. And that is why I said my leadership has been an adaptive resilience. And this is exactly what I meant, that you learn something, you have to have the resilience and adaptability to unlearn it and learn something new.
Absolutely, sir. I really liked how you mentioned about going from learning from your mentors to learning from books and, of course, from works of people. And it kind of relates to how you're learning a new element every day. Even though you've had a lot of past knowledge about it, you're adding a different element, so that is enhancing your knowledge, and it's helping the people around you as well. So if you're inspiring yourself, you're indirectly spreading the ripple reaction to people around you, because you create that aura around you, and your thinkings are able to inspire other people to start working on them.
Absolutely. And you remember during the COVID, we did not have any exposure to technology and all that. And I was very close to my 60, and that was the time when I learned everything. And I can say you, not with any arrogance, but with modesty, that I trained all my teachers on online teaching. I taught them the new vocabulary of synchronous and non-synchronous, and how to make lessons as interactive and as close to physical lessons as possible on online. uh, how I was able to do it, because I learned it, and I showed the way that I can learn it faster than you, and that motivated them. Some of them learned even faster and better than me later, but at least that kind of trigger and inspiration was required, and that came to me because I had that ability of unlearning, and a sense of accountability, that this is a new situation and we have to do something about it.
Absolutely. So that truly portrays the motive of sharing, learning, and growing together. And of course, unlearning and learning is the key, right?
Absolutely,
So
yes. Thank you. Yeah.
through that, so global collaboration has been a cornerstone of your journey. So, what are some transformative moments or lessons you've gained from working with international educators?
Oh, internationally. So good that you asked me. So the God gave me opportunity to visit almost 25 countries in the world during my span of career, including Finland, where you are going, and Tanzania on the other hand. So extreme of countries, including US, Singapore, South Korea, and all that. Namia, one thing I found, that everywhere the problems of teaching and learning was same, only the approach to solve them was different, right? So I was surprised when I visited Finland, that I saw a teacher lying on the floor and sitting with three children and teaching them something. You see, that was one approach. And on the other side, a teacher is struggling with 40 children, and not knowing how to figure out the problems, right? So I found that even in the UK, children were underlining portions in their textbook, and even in the US, uh, teachers were complaining that children don't listen to us, right? So all these examples I have deliberately given to you because they are symptomatic of the problems back home, right? So when I say that the problems are same, but the approaches are different. So but one thing I must tell you, that the approach of teachers in some of the foreign countries is different. They're much more accountable. They want to solve the problems. They take it very seriously. Back home, we have the problem of numbers, overworked teachers. We can understand all those things. But you use the word transformative. I think the transformative aspect of my visits abroad was, and which to a great extent I implemented in my school and the schools that I visit and advise, and people invite me, is we had to make our teaching differential. We had to make our pedagogies much more innovative than what we are. We had to involve the children quite a lot. Mostly we have relied traditionally on the lecture method. That has to go, that has gone in a big way as well. But as to how we can differentiate in such a way that that children have multiple access points to reach the same curriculum. That is the one thing that I picked up. You cannot change the curriculum for the children of 40 children in the classroom. You can't have 40 designs, isn't it? But you have to have multiple access points. So whether you are showing a video, or you are asking a pre lesson test, or you have created any other design, you have given a research work to the children, you have converted into a flipped classroom. The whole idea is that a large number of children should have something, one gate at least to enter the curriculum. I mean, if I can use that metaphor, that I cannot, that gate is not suiting me, it is too small or too big for me, let me use this gate. And that is what I mean by the access points. So these are some of the things that I learned from my counterparts abroad. I also learned that they are very focused, and once they are in school, nothing matters to them in the world, whereas in India, I think everything else matters to us in the world, and probably the schools get the second treatment. I think those are some of the hilarious experiences that I might share with you in a very, very guarded manner.
Kind of reminds me of my history class where we used to talk a lot about politics rather than actually studying history. But yeah, when we have exams near, we're actually really focused on, studying it properly. But yeah, rightly said by you, like you mentioned, you collaborated with educators over 25 countries, and you've observed that education challenges around the world are often similar, but the approaches to solving them are varying significantly. You mentioned about countries like Finland, UK, USA. They bring a strong sense of accountability and innovation to teaching. And the global interactions for you have been very transformative because it inspired you to rethink about pedagogy and make learning more inclusive and engaging for students. And I really like the point that you're mentioning about creating various stores for students where they can choose which one fits them appropriately, whether through games, through videos, through research. We're able to provide them more dynamic and student-centered approach towards learning that makes education quite more adaptable and resilient for them and for educators as well.
Yeah, true. Well said. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Well, many young change makers listen to this podcast. What message do you have for students who want to lead social change but feel too young or inexperienced?
Oh, you see, there is no minimum age for making a change maker, Namya. And you remember your own days. Did you look at your age when you started, making a difference? So age is not the criteria. I think the criteria is the purpose. Do you have that purpose in you? Do you have that trigger in you? And do you have that, action and little bit of risk, and the risk I'm using here in a very narrow sense, that risk of, oh, people will listen to me or not, oh, what will they say, whether I'll be listened to or not, people will take me seriously or not. These are little risks that might come to a young person. But let me tell you, it is long before it is said, child is the father of man. I mean, if I had to, uh, parodize it today, I would say the child is, the mother, not only father. You get my point. So the question is the ability of the children and the agency of the children. And I just now quoted to you Swami Vivekananda, that perfection within. So even the young children can come out with brilliant ideas, and brilliant campaigns. And I have an experience that people listen to young children more. I'll tell you, you may not know this, but there was a time, and still there is a time, when country depends on young children for most of the very serious campaigns which have been launched in this country. And I will tell you two or three of them. The first one is, uh, no tobacco uses, right? So this campaign, no dowry, no tobacco, you see, fuel consumption, the safe driving on the roads. All these campaigns were launched in the school. Why they were launched in the school? Because children were considered to be the potent ambassadors of this, and they can influence their families and the community. So my message to the young children is, find a cause and pursue it, and pursue it with a sense of responsibility, your humility, your knowledge around it, and your very secret purpose behind it should overwhelm, and it should not be with the purpose that I'm going to change the world in one day, right? Somebody asked me in another situation that to make a change you have to do big things. I said, sorry, you have to do only a small thing. As small a thing as making a visually impaired person on the road help him or her cross the road. This itself is a game changing thing, right? So we have to train ourselves in these things, and then organically we have to develop to take these campaigns.
Absolutely. So it reminds me of the book Ikigai, where you have to find your purpose to wake up every morning. So if any child can find that purpose, they're already on the way on to get on the path of change making. Right. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, sir, for being on the podcast. Your work shows us that education is not just about academics; it's about the values, vision, and voice. It's about raising not just achievers, but change makers and peace builders. So, thank you once again, sir, for being on the podcast, and I'm sure the audience has enjoyed listening to you and has taken back a lot of lessons today.
Thank you very much, Namia. I'm so happy, so delighted. I have been thinking about you because that some very young children during that initial years, 15, 16, 17, they came in contact thanks to the then Twitter, which has become X now, and I have been very keen to know how they are growing and what are they doing. How they are progressing, how those initial experiences in their life have shaped them. And about some of my own students, some of the students like you, and I'm so happy and so delighted that all of them whom I know and I'm in touch with, they are doing an extremely great work. They have pursued those initial years of their passion, and you are one of them. And I'm very happy and very proud of you. I wish you a great success ahead, and I'm sure you will be one of the great leaders who will show some very nice bright path to the people who you follow.
Thank you so much. So that means a lot. And thank you everyone for joining and listening to this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, each one, teach 10. Have a nice day.